Hi guys, this is Jerry or Rowan, and this is a VR response to The Witch's Voice, How I Define a Witch, which I think is a really, an interesting topic. I really think it's a great starter topic at the beginning of I want to say channel's lifespan to ask, because I think the answers are going to be varied depending on the person. But I really enjoyed Thriving Vine's video response on her day, so I'm going to put into words how I define a witch. I think being a witch, being a real witch, is the biggest blessing and the biggest curse you can possibly have. I think you're born a witch. I think people can learn about witchcraft. I think people can reach a level of understanding and witchcraft by reading and learning, but I think being a witch is something you are born as part of your soul. I think when you are born a witch, you are born with a way of seeing and feeling and rationalizing and empathizing with the world and people around you, which is so dramatically different to how a lot of people see and feel about the world, that it can be a real pain in the ass. It's often quite a lonely and isolated thing. And growing up, I felt very at odds with people for a long time. I often thought of myself as human Marmite. I'm sticky. People either really liked me or they didn't. It was just one or the other. There was no middle ground. And I had these principles. I still do. I still have these principles, these morals, these ways of thinking about the world and people, which have never changed. I've been accused of being judgmental because of these. Like, other people don't see the world like this, and I have very strong principles about things, and like I would judge other people for not having them, which I thought was really unfair, because as much as I believe in it, I've never, to my knowledge, and I would never on purpose, try and force my opinions on anybody else, because it doesn't work like that. The more you tell someone you're right, the less likely they are to listen to your point of view, even. And the fact is, the world needs different religions, different points of view. We need to discuss and debate. We're not all the same. And one example of this, for example, in a generalized view, is how, as a young person, I viewed sexuality. I wanted my very first time to mean a lot to me. I wanted it to be special. And on the other hand, I never felt guilty about sexuality. I thought it was something to be embraced. It was just part of the human experience, that it was supposed to be this beautiful thing. And a lot of people seemed quite blasé about it, and I was like, it should mean something. I still believe it, you know. I wanted my first time to be meaningful, and to look back on it and think that was the correct choice for me at the time. I wanted it to be between two people who loved each other. I realise I'm quite old-fashioned in this, or high morally principled in this. And I was having a laugh with another girl whose honest belief was that she was quite free in her sexuality, and she had more sexual partners. And I said at the time, if that's your honest truth, go for it. If there are other reasons behind it that weren't your honest truth, doing it for attention, doing it to make you feel better, doing it out of depression, then that's not your honest truth, and it's unhealthy behaviour because you're acting out of pain, and you know. But if her truth was to be sexually free and that was how she felt correct about the situation, then that was up to her, and I was fine with that. And another girl who I had problems with my whole growing up experience, we never saw eye to eye. She accused me of being two-faced about it, because in myself I wanted to be with one person. I didn't want to have multiple partners. And I said to her, what I believe for myself is how I want to conduct myself. I have no effing right, I got quite angry, to enforce what I think on other people. I will tell people what I feel about the situation. I will say how I feel about that. I have no shame in saying this is how I feel about it. But I'm not going to force that on other people. And she couldn't get her head around it. She could not get her head around it, but there you go. So being a witch to me has always been a real heaviness as well as a real joy, because you go through the world and you want the best for people. I have an overwhelming urge, I've said this before, to help. I want to help the people, I want to help the world, I want to heal. Right? I've always, even from being very, very young, people are like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And rather than me, I was like, I'm a healer, or I'm a storyteller. I wasn't like, I want to be this, until a little bit later when I felt forced into that. And I always, whenever anyone was in trouble, my heart wrenches, and it does this to this day, and I have to balance myself out as part of the learning process. But my heart wrenches because I want to help. I don't want people to hurt and be in pain and be alone. It's making me feel like I want to tear up and cry now, because I empathise. I don't want people to be in pain. I don't want people in the world to be in pain. From being very young, I was interested in one of the youngest things I remember doing is getting very frustrated because I wanted to save the rainforest, and I was about 5, and I had no way of imposing myself upon the world, no way to help. I was reading about it and I wanted to help people. Yes, I read at 5. I read at 3. I was very early developing. And I really, 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 even younger than 3. My nephew's the same, but you know. Bleh. And I remember that, and I remember signing up for the RSPCA magazine because I wanted to help the animals, and I wanted to volunteer so badly at the RSPCA, and they wouldn't accept people. I wanted to volunteer there when I was 12, and they wouldn't let you volunteer at the RSPCA until you were 18. And because by the time I was 18, I was going to university, so it was no use to me. So being a witch to me has always been this great empathy for the world around me, the energies around me, the plights of those that cannot protect themselves, the innocent and the vulnerable. A lot of witches feel this way about animals, but they seem to disconnect a little bit with human beings, and you have to understand that human beings are flawed, and all human beings are flawed, but that doesn't make them any less deserving of help. There's a whole topic there into itself, so I'm not even going to dive into it, because you know, there are debates and discussions and you have to find that balance, because I've had to find that balance, and a lot of real witches will, because you have these deep empathetic feelings of wanting to be involved, wanting to help, wanting to make people feel better and really help people, help them. And you have to realise at some point that you can't do that for everybody. And to some degree, you can't do that at all, because people have to live their own lives, people have to learn their own lessons and find their own balance. That's not to say you shouldn't be there. You can be the shoulder, you can listen, you can give advice for what it's worth, and advice is another prickly situation because it's based on personal experience, personal belief, and you can try and you can offer it, but the difference between offering and preaching is the problem. You see, between this is my opinion and it's right, it's not a witch way of doing things. You listen and you take it in, and you see more than is being said. You have insight into it, into the situation, and you really listen, not just hear, here and here, and it's a connection with the goddess and God or divinity and spirit, and however you see it, right? And people who are witches, when they truly listen to their divine, it's a process by which we disregard ego. This can take a lifetime, okay? Because there is no place for ego really when you're talking to, listening to, and following the path of the divine, because it's putting your egotistical, your selfishness aside. There is no place for a selfish witch, because being a witch is a gift from the goddess and God and divinity and spirit, and however you see it. Being a real honest witch is about embracing the gifts of the goddess, embracing the fact that you are not top of the food chain. You are not the be all and end all. You are not better than anybody else on the face of the planet. Your actions go towards defining you, and you are responsible only for your actions. You can't be responsible for the actions of others. You are only responsible for you. You can try and help other people, you can try and talk to other people, you can try and connect with other people, but every living human being who is of sound mind and body is responsible for themselves and their conduct. And that real responsibility is putting aside your ego, putting aside selfish behaviours, and saying to the divine, I accept your influence, I accept your advice, I will follow what you do, I will learn the lessons you put out for me, I will follow the path, and I will live with as much integrity as I can. Now that's not to say witches don't make mistakes, because we're human and we all make mistakes, but to try and face the world with that integrity is a hard ass bitch, because because it's okay, this is the easiest way I can put it. In everybody's life we get choices, what is easy and what is right. I believe this wholeheartedly. I've been through this. On some levels easier decisions, and some which were life-ripping lessons that literally ripped my life to pieces to make the right choice. I believe, in all honesty, that everybody is faced with these decisions. What is easy and what is right? And to make the choice, well-informed, heart of heart, believe it to be the right choice is harder. 99.9999% of the time. You see a crime. It's easier to not report it or not come forward as a witness, because when you come forward you have to go to court, you have to go to the police station, you have to disarray your life. So a lot of people, whether they admit it or not, would not go and report the crime or go and be a witness, whereas the right thing to do is to go help the person who has been injured, who is a victim of crime. But because it's easier, a lot of people wouldn't. Your very good friend keeps borrowing money off you. Rather than learning the lesson that they need to learn about money, you keep giving them money, and it's easier to give them money because you're their friend. It would cause arguments if you said, I can't, you need to learn. It would hurt the friendship originally. What is right is to, at some point, is to step back and say, I can't. You need to heal and help yourself. It's true with children as well. You know, after a certain age, after a certain point, you have to find the balance between giving them and helping them grow. Let's try and think. I think that'll do for examples. But basically, being a witch is living with the right choices, as hard as they might be. It is not spells and potions and lotions and herbs, and it is those things. That is witchcraft, but that is not what a witch is. People think all those things go towards making a witch. They don't. They're the tools which a witch can utilize. They're a tool which anybody can utilize with the right training and energy. And I think people get confused between the acts of spellcraft, of witchcraft, of divination, and the extra click which goes into making a witch. For me, at a soul level, it is a deep purpose. And I'm going to reiterate this. Being a witch can be one of the hardest, most pain in the ass things to be. And I think you're born it. I think you are born with a world view which is so different to a lot of people are like, I will do whatever it takes, whatever it needs to be for me, for mine, and I will be selfish about it. I don't care. And if I have to step on people to get where I want, I'll do it. If I have to screw people over to get higher up the career ladder, higher up this ladder, if I have to destroy this person to get the man or woman I want, I'll do it. Hurting people, injuring people, selfish materialistic gain, is all part of the modern societal, even not modern, it's part of a societal thing that human beings seem obsessed with throughout the ages. Money, wealth, power, status, things. And a witch realizes that any of those things is not a guarantee to happiness. It's not a guarantee to healing yourself. It's not a guarantee to healing your friends, your family, your society, your company, your world. Because the people who are driven to be like that are destroying the world to those ends. We're just to get those things is destroying community, is destroying people in specific ways, is destroying the environment, is destroying the economy, is destroying society. It is destroying people, right? And that is not how a witch wants to be. That is not how a witch sees the world around her. Because A witch realizes in the necessity of balance. Now, I'm going to finish on this point because I think this is really important. The necessity of balance within ourselves, within our world, and within our community is the most single important thing that I think we have to strive for. We have to find the balance between light and dark, and realize that these things are not cast in stone. We have to find the balance in ourselves between selfishness and I don't even know how to put the other side. We have to walk the line between what we need as people, the time we need to spend on ourselves and the space we need for ourselves and what we need for ourselves, and giving to other people, the world and our community. As witches, it is our responsibility to not be selfish, self-serving and self-providing, but realise that we do need a level of looking after ourselves, but not to the detriment of everybody else, and realise that the line between what we need and what we want. There's that balance in magic, there's that balance in mental state, the physical state. It's all about balance being a witch, to me. These are just personal opinions. I think it's a calling from the divine to be better than what you were, and to keep striving for a better life, for it to be a better person, to have a better community, to have a better world and environment. It's realizing that we are not our ancestors. We honor our ancestors, we honor tradition. It is realizing that we are not the defining thing for our descendants. They have to walk their own paths. They have to embody their own age. We have to embody the time and in which we live. We have to understand where we come from. We have to learn where we come from and decide and put into action where we're going. We have to walk that line of balance. We are not and will never be medieval witches. We are not and we cannot be pioneers, in my opinion. We can set forth our principles and try to affect the world around us. We can try and instill what we believed in our heart of hearts to be honest morals and principles in our children and our children's children. But that's about as far as it can probably go. When we are slightly more famous, it becomes something else. But the witch doesn't seek fame. Why are you on YouTube? I don't seek fame for being on YouTube. I got into YouTube for a sense of community and a sense of reaching out for people, like-minded people. That's why I honestly got involved with it. And that to me is being a witch. To try and learn is very important. I don't know if I would honestly say I teach anything. I think more of myself as sharing. And if anybody is inspired by something I say or it resonates with something I say, then that's a gift. I don't sit here and go, I'm going to teach you, because I'm not an expert. And I don't believe anybody can be an expert. You can get right down the line and be a crone, and you will know more. You will have had a lot more learning. But not everybody who gets to that stage is well learned. Well learned, is that the right way of putting it? It's a personal experience, and it doesn't mean that you are the fountain of all knowledge. Sorry. Everybody, the minute you stop thinking you have something to learn is the minute you fail as a witch. Sorry, my partner just linked me a link Do you want fresh wasabi, £2.50 a serving, most expensive wasabi in the world? My partner is a weird... There's another part of being a witch, being able to laugh at it, alright? You've got to take these things with a sense of joy and a sense of humour. And because now I can't concentrate on anything but wasabi, oh, I will leave it there. Many blessings.